Hey, welcome back to Driven Channel, and I'm very pumped up today because, I mean, uh, Mark, I think that one of the best, if not the best, investment anybody can make in business or in life is real estate. And Mark Shapiro, uh, I I respect you a lot. I look up to you. You're new to me because I didn't know you, and you've accomplished so much. I found out later, but I saw a reel that you posted or your team posted, and I guess that they were giving me the scoop how they show you videos, right? And then you just kind of talk about the video. So you did a reel where I said women are the cost of drinking and drugs, and so you tore me apart.
I
And,
did.
and, and yeah, and then you did another one where I was talking about the credit card hack, and then you said, "Oh, I love this, Albert. Let's do a podcast." So now we're here in the podcast, but we'll talk about that. But first of all, you know what? I'm very excited for anybody here in real estate. If you want to learn how to invest in real estate, create a lot of wealth, buy properties. Mark Shapiro has a lot of units. I'll let you talk about that. But you have a huge real estate portfolio, and one of the differences, because I think a lot of my viewers, they know Grant, and they know how Grant has like 12,000 units or more and billion. I don't know if it's like a couple billion now worth of properties. However, Grant does it a different way than you do. So you have a lot of multi units. I don't know if you want to start talking about the units and how you build the wealth. Mark Shapiro, very excited to have you here, and it's an honor to have you here. Thank you for coming to my office.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, started buying real estate back when I was going to my junior year in college. And by the time I graduated from college, I had 58 apartments and took a job at a small savings and loan bank called Suffield Savings. And back then, there was no internet. The internet was very, very, very basic.
Yeah.
And all loans, and I worked in the loan department, all loans were done in person and in writing on an FHA form. I forgot.
1003.
1003.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long form. And the verifications were all handwritten, mailed out in triplicate.
Wow.
The VOEs, the VODs.
What year is this?
1985.
2 years before that I was born.
Wow. And so I get this job and I'm working in the securitization department.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the job because I really wanted to understand where money came from.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working there. I had to get my Series 7 license. And after about 3 months, there's a job posting in the lunchroom. And that's where the job postings were. There wasn't on the internet, on your phone. And it said commercial loan officer. So I took the card down and I walked down to the commercial loan department. And there was the head of the commercial loan department. He was my inspirational boss. His name was Fred Wheeler. And it was late, probably 5, 6 o'clock, because bankers, had bankers hours back then. And I walked into his office and I said, "Hi, I work in the securitization department." And he said, "Okay, how long have you been with the bank?" I said, "About 90 days. And he said, "Okay, what do you do?" I said, my only client is Sears and Roebuck. If you guys have any idea who Sears is, they were back then the epitome of the Walmart or Target. They were a big department store.
And Sears, the store.
Sears, yeah, the store. Yeah. Edward Lampert actually bought it and tried to reorganize them, the billionaire from Greenwich.
Yeah.
And he tells me, "Oh, the job's not for you." I said, "What do you mean the job's not for me?" He said, "Well, what do you know about real estate?" I said, "Well, I own some real estate. I come from a real estate background, 2 grandfathers that were developers." I said, "My mother's a commercial broker." And he said, "Okay, you bring me a deal and I'll give you the job. I was like, okay, what do you want? He says, we lend money. I'm the commercial department. So I went back to my little cubicle that I was working out of, called my mother at home, and I'm like, Mom, do you have any clients that need funding on any of their deals? And my mother said, I actually have a developer. His name's Kenny Schwartz. I know him. I went to high school with his kids, so I know him. Because from my town, there was a lot of successful developers. And she said, let me call him and see if he has gotten funding for his subdivision.
Yeah.
Doing single family homes. My mother said, stop by there in the morning. I met with his CEO. His name was Peter Stein. Great guy. He hands me, back then, it was a full finance package. Today, we call it an OM or a deck. I brought it in, and he didn't need a lot of money, because if you know how the home building business goes, once you actually sell the home, the borrower or the buyer of the home will go out and replace it with a construction loan. That's how it was done in the olden days.
Yeah.
So you really need all the infrastructure, and you build the infrastructure as it goes. So you put in the rough road, and then you move in as you're building the homes.
Yeah.
I took it back to this guy, Fred Wheeler, and he said, how did you get this so fast? I said, well, hire me, and I'll do a lot more business. I said, can you write a term sheet on this? He said, no, I'll do better. I'll give you a commitment letter. I'm like, when can I have the commitment letter? He says, I'll do it for you today. I took the commitment letter. I took the job. Back then, they called it a pen. I don't know if they still call it a pen today. They gave me the ability to sign loans.
Notary?
No.
Oh.
Actually, I had the authorization to lend up to a certain amount.
Yeah.
Underwriting based on the bank's underwriting criteria.
Yeah.
So I could sign off on a loan, send out a commitment letter, and get it closed for the closing department. I did that my first month, and you were paid a small commission and a salary. And then I started to notice that the bank had an REO department. You know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And they had a bunch of units there. So I looked at the deals, and some of them were actually pretty good deals. And the bank didn't want to own them. So little by little, first thing I did is I asked my boss, can I write myself a loan for this? He said, well, how's the deal underwrite? What are you going to do for putting money down? I said, well, this deal doesn't really need any money down. And methodically, I took deals from the bank. I worked there for 18 months, and I continued to build my portfolio. I had about 400 units, and then I took everything I had and I leveraged it off a very large deal.
Like 400 units though, how do you get 400 units? Like how that fast, that young? Like how are you getting the down payment and all that stuff when you're there working?
So back in the day, so when I bought the first deal, which was a small 3-unit building right next to a college, we renovated it, we leased it to the college students, and the parents guaranteed the lease. They signed the lease. We were able to sell that very rapidly, and I did my first 1031 into 2 6-families. The 6 families I cleaned up very, very quickly and bought a 12 and a 12 on the same street, all within the same small college area. And by the time I had finished, I had 58 apartments. From there, all those deals had gone up in value in 24 months. So in that period of time, there was a fair amount of growth. So I was able to tap into the equity and take the equity and use that as my down payments. But you also were able to finance deals over 100%. Because banks did not care if a seller took a second. As long as the seller subordinated to the first and had what's called a standstill agreement.
Yeah.
Unless, let's say you were defaulted on your first, the second could come and pay the first and take the property over. But if you didn't pay the second, they couldn't come and foreclose. So we use that technique a lot to leverage up very rapidly. During also that time, there was stress in the banking industry, and the FDIC started taking over a lot of these small, undercapitalized banks. And it was also a treasure trove to buy deals because the banks only wanted to get the deals off their books, and they would give you whatever you asked them for because you were solving their problem. And once you closed one deal with the bank, the word got around, and then you could close multiple deals with multiple banks. And you just have to go with it. You have to take everything that you have and put it on the line.
Yeah.
Because you're never, ever going to grow. If you sit around and you cash your checks and you pretend that everything is going to be great, because you always want to aspire to something higher, like your program, driven, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who is driven, you think they're going to sit back and say, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy.
Yeah.
No. It's human nature to reach. It's human nature to push.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're not pushing yourself, you're dying. You're going backwards.
Yeah.
So
have you ever said how many units you own?
I don't really talk about that. I told you that personally, but what we have, we own ourselves.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And I have reminded Grant of that when I do sometimes see him in person. I will see him in January at the National Multi-Housing Conference. He'll be there with Sabina. He doesn't go there with his wife.
Why not?
I don't know. I've never seen him there with his wife the last few years. He always brings his daughter. And he's not such a big shot when he goes there because he's there with guys that have 15, 20, 40,000 units. He's there with every major fund. Every major bank is there. Every major multifamily developer.
So he's very calm right there. He's calm. He's relaxed.
Is he calm?
No, calm, relaxed, or.
I don't know. The last time, last year,
because usually he
was having breakfast. He was waiting in line to have breakfast, and I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and I saw his daughter, and I said, "Good morning," and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to a meeting." He said, "You want to have coffee?" And I said, I really don't have the time. And I said, "But I'll come back after the meeting if you're still here." I didn't want to be rude. I would never be rude to someone.
You were busy though.
But I was actually had to get to meet somebody. So
who, before we get into all the who you are now though, like who you are now, all those the multi-units, the wealth, what you created. Let's go back because you said before that you don't have to be smart to be rich. And you mentioned the word driven. You said you have to be driven, and you have to be disciplined, and you have to not quit whenever times get hard. So having said that, how did you learn all of this investing in real estate? Because from my understanding, you didn't grow up rich. Nobody gave you money. You were kind of poor when you started, right?
No. In my family, my father was a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
2 of his brothers were dentists. 2 of my cousins are dentists. Mm-hmm. His oldest brother was a judge, a lawyer, a judge, and then he sat on the Supreme Court in the state of Connecticut for 18 years.
Yeah.
Judge Mark Shapiro. He was not.
So you grew up.
My Uncle Lou was not that friendly.
Yeah.
He was very aristocratic.
Yeah.
But his wife Betty was amazing.
So you grew up rich.
Well, I grew up in an upper middle class family.
Yeah.
We had our first house was a small house, was a split level in an area that they called the reservation because there was a lot of Jews there.
Yeah.
And because this part of town had an Indian heritage, so the school was King Philip. The road was Iroquois, Pioneer. It was Mohawk. It was so that's why they called it the reservation. We didn't really want for a lot. My father was a Pontiac guy, and then he became a Buick guy because a friend that he grew up with had a Pontiac dealership, then he had a Buick dealership.
I'm Albert Preciado. If you like what you're watching and you want to learn from an entrepreneur that built 8 companies and makes over $30 million a year, text me at 213-277-6208 and let's make it happen.
So he was very loyal about people that were his patients who maybe could pay him or couldn't pay him. And I learned a lot from him. But I learned a lot about real estate from my father's father, who I'm named after. His name was Milton. Used to wear a 3-piece suit to work. And then my mother's father, his name was Eli, and he used to wear a jumpsuit. And he drove the same crappy Chevy, I think it was a Biscayne, and he never displayed what he had. Although he had a magnificent home on the water in Coral Gables, Florida.
Is that where you learn how
I learned a lot.
not to show stuff?
Yeah.
Let me just jump into that right now because I don't want to lose my thought. You don't show a lot of what you have, but like others, there's others that show a lot. You know, like they show like flashy cars, jets, lifestyle. How do you feel about that versus you being very like private?
So I'm not going to condone somebody for their actions because maybe they were raised differently. But I believe that you don't have to stick things in people's faces. It doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you handsomer if you have more money than a person. Okay?
Yeah.
What you should be doing is lifting other people up and doing things for people. And we try, as a religious Jew, we do things very anonymously. We don't give charity in our name. And you do see it because we were driving back here, up here, and Adrian said, oh, look at that building with the Jewish star, the Max Factor. And I said, they're a very wealthy Jewish family. So probably they put that on there, but that's their foundation and they do nice things. So we believe in our religion, in the Torah, that money is given to us, but it doesn't belong to us. So we hold it, we have responsibility for it, and we have the responsibility to give it to other people to help lift them up, okay? Because there are times in your life where you need help. Even our 47th president, okay? There are times when he needed help. That's when his family was there. That's when his friends were there to help him. He doesn't talk about it, but it's true. So if you're constantly showing off and flashing, and I now know it's called flexing, what you have, and you really don't really have anything, then you're only kidding yourself.
Yeah.
If you know inside the value that you have as a person, it's more important than the value that you have or the digits against your net worth. Now, it doesn't suck to have money, okay? And the only good thing about money is it makes your life easier, okay? But if you don't teach your children the value of $1, and if you don't teach your children how hard you work, and I've done it by spoiling my daughters, then they end up being a lot different than the way you are. And they have this expectation, and no matter what happens in their life, they're never achieving their expectation.
So you spoiled your kids?
I did.
All of them? Did you learn?
Well, I'll disagree with the youngest, the little Isabella monster. Okay.
Isabella?
And yeah, that's my youngest. She's a sophomore at University of Tampa. And Gabby will say, she's a good kid, but you do spoil her.
Yeah.
And maybe because I'm not with her mother, and her mother's, goes through her own difficult times. But I don't want my children to have to want for things, but I also wanted to know the value of the dollar. So I made her, when she was a freshman, get a job. So she got a job getting in the morning before she went to class, taking these 3 young kids to school. She had to get up at 6. She had to go and do it over and over again. And then she said, well, Dad, I'm spending my budget, because we set a budget for her monthly allowance for school. And I said, you set it. And then I increased it by 30%, and she still can't stay within it. By the 15th to the 18th of the month, she's already spent it.
Well, she lives in Miami, right? Or no,
She's in Tampa.
Oh, Tampa.
Tampa, yeah.
Not as expensive as Miami.
No. But she's a 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Got to get her nails done. The hair.
Yeah.
So her car has to be detailed. It's probably more because I'm fastidious about stuff like that. And I said, well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Get another job. So last year she had 3 jobs.
3?
She's like, 3. And she's like, Dad, I still can't meet my budget. I'm like, okay, spend less.
What's her budget?
She gets $1,000 a month for spending money. So her apartment's paid for, all your utilities or food, and that's for gas and nails and whatever she's doing. So, and I'm still hard on her. Actually, when we were parking, I was just talking to her. So
you don't feel like buying her like a nice car and just giving her like money, and sometimes like just.
Oh, she has a nice car. Trust me. Trust me.
What kind of car is that?
And she's wrecked a few nice cars.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Well, girls are. I mean, what are your thoughts on women driving?
Oh, she's a good driver.
Yeah.
She's a good driver. Yeah.
My wife's not a good driver.
Well, don't tell her that.
Well, she's crashed. She's wrecked a bunch of cars. Yeah.
No.
But it's like my people here, like my employees, they'll tell you when they get in the car with her, they're kind of they're praying. But going back to these, so
yes, she's wrecked a few cars.
Quite a few, yeah.
She's wrecked. Let's see. She wrecked her first car at 16. She drove into the back of a pickup. I'm like, how did that happen? She goes, he stopped. So, and then she ran into the curb, and I have no idea how she bent the front suspension for her car.
Yeah.
So, and I said, look, pick a car out that you want when you graduate high school, and we'll get it. So she picked out a car. She loves cars.
Did she have a limit on the price of the car?
That was a pretty expensive car. A pretty expensive car.
Like a Rolls Royce or?
No, an Audi.
Oh.
No, a little rocket ship Audi.
Those are nice.
Yeah.
That was my first when in 2008 when I lost everything. My first car when I bounced back was an Audi A6.
So this is an RS7, and it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
So, because I am a car guy, I love cars. I'm a gearhead.
What's your favorite car? Bugatti?
Hold on, Rob. What was my first car? It's a 68 Chevelle SS 396, midnight blue, center lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a car collection?
I like cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have some.
You like Ferraris?
I'm not a Ferrari guy. I'm a Porsche guy.
Hmm.
I bought my first Porsche when I did a deal at, I was just about 26.
Yeah.
I made a substantial check, a little over $3.1 million after tax. And,
that was when?
1986.
So that's what you made. That's what you earned that year.
No, that's what I earned on one deal.
On one deal.
On one deal. Yep.
What deal was that?
It was 183 units on West Middle Turnpike in Manchester. I bought it. I went to the closing. I actually was talking about that last night with JT Fox. I went to the closing $40,000 short. I had borrowed everything I could from everybody I knew, and I was still $40K short to buy the deal. The day of the closing, the day before the closing, I called my attorney. His name's Robert Cohn, Robert F. Cohn. Closed my first deal. Closed that 3-family house, and then he closed 40 deals for me. And today I still use him for some legal stuff. He's a great guy. And very smart real estate lawyer, but also real estate developer. So, and a friend. He said, just go to the closing, and when you get there, pull the seller aside, sit down with him privately, and ask him for his help. I'm like, okay. He's like, no. Just listen, okay? Ask him for his help. Tell him you need his help. Instead of saying, I need to borrow money from you, I said to John, his name was John DeQuattro, I said, John, okay, I don't have enough money to close. I need your help. And he said to me, wow, I was nervous. I thought this was something bad. Don't worry about it. I'll lend you the money for 6 months.
That easy.
That easy.
I think people just sometimes are scared to ask.
You got to ask, because what happens if you ask?
Nothing.
You might get.
Yeah.
Or you won't. But you got to ask. And that's the most important thing that I learned from my grandfather, my grandpa Eli. You got to ask, because all someone can say is no.
Why are people
Cost you
scared of
nothing.
asking?
Psychology is such a crazy thing with people. They're constantly thinking of what's going to happen, but you need to just make what's going to happen by your actions.
You think people are scared of getting the no? That's
yeah,
the
but there's no real no. Is there a real no in a
like
deal?
I asked you if I asked you if you would speak at my event.
What did I say?
You pretty much said yes.
Well, I don't know yet. We'll have to discuss it with Adrian. He's the boss.
Yeah.
And then the chairman over there,
Yeah.
she'll let us
No,
know.
but most people are scared to ask.
Why?
That's it's weird. And I
That's an insecurity.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in life, you're never going to get anywhere if you don't try. Okay. So what did they say about Michael Jordan? How many games did he lose? How many
A lot.
shots did he miss?
he lost. I think he missed is it? I know it's hundreds of thousands of shots, maybe more.
Yeah.
But he made the shots that won the championship.
That's right. And today there are people that will debate who's the greatest, him or LeBron. And I would say I'm a Michael Jordan
I
fan.
think Jordan's the best player ever. I think Kobe's second.
I think Kobe could have been with Jordan right
I don't
here.
think LeBron's that. I mean, he's obviously.
I'm not a
great.
LeBron fan,
Yeah.
okay? Because I really don't like his politics and his antics. I
Yeah.
don't know if you ever follow any of that stuff.
A little
But,
bit, yeah. I think he's obviously great, but I don't think he's one of the top.
See, Kobe would have been the perfect person to speak at Driven, because Kobe was more driven than anyone to achieve greatness. And Kobe didn't start out great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then going back to so I'm sure you've seen some of these influencers, how they get really expensive cars, and then they're very aggressive with people, and I know that you want to help people, but the way I see it is like, I understand both sides. They're using the cars and the lifestyle to get more views and to get people to believe them and to get people to get a credibility.
mhm.
And that's the same thing as Grant Cardone, right? Like, he shows off what he has, because I don't know if that's the only way they know how to do it, but it works to get attention,
Mhm.
and then they sell whatever they sell.
Right.
And now there's other influencers that tell you, if you don't have a 6-pack, you're fired.
Andy Elliott.
Yeah. So, and they're
We did a video for that. So
Yeah, and then he's also very aggressive in your face, and so how do you feel about that type of marketing? Because like maybe for people watching this, you built a lot of wealth without having to do that. So
Well,
you don't have.
don't get me wrong. Business isn't business is tough. Business is war. Okay?
Yeah.
Buying deals is war. So when I was going through the early 90s, 91, and the markets went sideways. So you're now 5,
Mhm.
right? 91, 6.
I'm Albert Preciado. If you like what you're watching and you want to learn from an entrepreneur that built 8 companies and makes over $30 million a year, text me at 213-277-6208 and let's make it happen.
You were born
I was born 83.
in 83.
Yeah, so I'm 8.
Yeah. Okay. So the markets go sideways. We can't borrow anything. Okay. But the Resolution Trust takes over the S&Ls. So the savings and loans fail. The Resolution Trust takes them over. I have deals that aren't cash flowing on one side, and I'm at the RTC buying as much as I possibly can, just like dollar cost averaging down on stock. And I use all those deals to lift me up to the next level. And we don't buy 50-unit deals. So by 90, our minimum deal size was always 200 units.
Yeah.
And you could go into the RTC and you could walk out of there in one day with 6 deals with the same check. They took a photocopy of your bank check. Then you took your loan app and you went to the processing department and they asked you, how much do you need to buy this property? What's your rehab? We'll give you the closing costs. And then they would process it and then you do it again. How fast you could do it in a day. And that's how I got to Texas. And that's how I grew to from 5 to 10,000 units like this in 36 months. Now we had growing pains and we started to just grow from there to the next level. And then when you create your own policy and procedures, and when we got to our high level, we had about 1,200 employees.
Yeah.
And our goal was to take the company public. We went through an underwriting with an investment banking firm, a big firm on Wall Street, and they priced us somewhere where we didn't think that was the right pricing because they priced the share price. So that day you become, when you go public, that day you become a billionaire, okay?
Mhm.
And it's a lot of money, but it's not the ultimate because you lose control. And when they priced it, and we said, no, this is not the price.
Yeah.
Okay. And we said, okay. And we divested a little bit in 97 because I thought it would be a good idea maybe to retire a little bit. So we sold some units to a public
You don't like
company.
retirement though.
No, I got bored fast.
What
Very
do you
bored.
do when you retire?
You can only play golf and tennis 5 days a week. You can only buy so many cars. You can only take so many vacations. Okay. You can only shop so much. And in Miami, you can only sit on the beach so much or go on your boat. So,
So that gets boring?
yeah, of course it's boring. You don't need to do that. So when you get to a point where you know your life is good, it's incumbent upon you to change other lives.
Yeah.
Because that's the true meaning of life. Passing on a legacy.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your hard times, if you ever had hard times. But before we move on to that, so let's say Wes. I know Wes. He's a friend of mine, Wes Watson, and he has.
Is he still a friend today?
Yeah, I would say so. We talk all the time. Not all the time. He'll send me messages, text messages. He'll DM me. I used to talk to him more before.
Mm-hmm.
So, but nothing has happened between us. I respect him. He respects me. Last time I saw him was like in March. And so
It's a long time ago.
yeah.
He's devolved.
Yeah. Like in what way?
I think it's actually the drugs that he's taking to maintain his size or to get bigger. It's a very dangerous steroid. It's called Trembolin. And his close friend, Eric, has nothing to do with him anymore. And that was most of the conversation when Eric and I spoke. We talked more about his program and his philosophy being a little bit different than mine. And he didn't like the fact that I said his program was a ripoff. And I gave my word. I said, we'll go back through your funnel. I'll tell you, if I'm wrong, I'll do a retraction. And I called him.
You said whose program was a ripoff?
Eric Spofford. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who was one of Wes's close friends.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not friends anymore at all. And I think it's...
I wonder why.
Well, I could tell you, but I wouldn't tell you in an interview.
Mm-hmm.
That would just be proper. That wouldn't be proper.
Yeah.
But I think the medication he's taking to make himself look a certain way or feel a certain way, it has an emotional effect on you. So I think he needs to take a step back. And I actually would like to get to know him because I think I could actually help him, because a few years back, I actually liked what he had to say.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy from
very very motivational.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but his obnoxious, thin-skinned. These are my car titles. Okay, this is my house, which I live down the street from him, so I know it's not his house. I know who owns his house. I know how much he pays in rent. So this because it's a very little town, like LA.
Yeah.
Probably a very little town. So I would like to get to know him.
Yeah.
But
do you have his number?
I actually do.
Yeah.
Because he called me, told me he wanted to bitch slap me. So then I had Rob call him, and Rob actually bought a program. So they could talk. Rob feels that we have some synergies to talk.
Yeah.
So, because for me, I feel I can help people.
Yeah.
From my life experience at 64, his life experience at 40. So I think that I may not be able to. I don't know if he has a relationship with his father.
You don't think that, like, because when he got out of prison, he was very motivational, more like a mindset, and would motivate people, especially people that have came out of prison recently. He blew up on YouTube. He did good, but he was making a little bit of money. He was making a little bit of money. When he made with that money he started making, then he obviously improved his lifestyle, and then the lifestyle he improved it more and more and more, and then all that showing off the lifestyle got him more business, and then he ended up making more money. So do you feel that that's important, or do you or that was the cost of him making the money he makes now, which is like millions a month, or do you think that he could have done it without showing off the lifestyle? That makes sense, because a lot of people see this and they're like, oh, you gotta have cars and watches and lifestyle to advertise and get views and all that stuff. Can you do it without it? Can he do it without it?
Absolutely. It's not about the cars and watches and lifestyle. It's about the people that you're changing. And that is the greatest testimonial. That is the highest reward.
Yeah.
So we were driving here, and all this is very new to us, and we're building out an organization, super rapid. And people are buying our programs very, very every day.
That's your info products, right?
Well, it's education.
Mm-hmm.
It's education. So we went viral at the end of April. The first post I do is Grant. I'm driving back. I don't know where Christian went. I'm driving back. I had filmed it poolside at a friend's home. And driving back to Miami Beach from where I was, it's about a 45-minute drive. He had posted it. We filmed it. He edited it. He posted it. Did a few.
Yeah.
And he called me and he said, your video's going viral. I'm like, okay, is that bad? And he goes, no, it's good. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Because all this stuff is new terminologies.
Yeah.
Relatively new.
Yeah.
And he said, by the time you turn your phone back on after Shabbat, so at sundown, I'll turn my phone off, and I won't turn it back on until an hour after on Saturday. 25 hours is Shabbos. And he said, by the time you turn your phone on, you're going to have 1 million views on your first video. And I said, okay, is that good? He goes, yeah, it's phenomenal. And we were going to do a post 3 times a week. That turned into a post every day, 5 days a week. Then it turned into 7. Then it turned into 2 to 3. And he said, can you write a course? I said, sure, I can write a course. He said, can you write a bunch of courses? I said, yeah, I know everything there is about real estate, in my personal opinion, my humble opinion.
Yeah.
So we wrote a course. He said, let's film it. We put it on school. June 20th, my first student, her name's Lydia Walker. And how I got to this is I was talking to her while driving here. And she just bought her first property, closed it last month in St. Louis. She has a little less than $1,000 a month in cash flow. And she's now working on her second and third property.
How much was the deal?
So her first deal she bought for $34,000.
$34,000?
$34,000 in St. Louis, Missouri.
$34,000.
$34,000.
I spent $34,000 for the potluck.
Okay. Well, I hope it's good. It better be good. So
No, I'm joking, but like 34,000.
yes, yeah.
So you teach people how to do that?
Yeah. I teach first-time home buyers how to.
And she's making 1,000. She's making under almost $1,000.
A little less than $1,000 a month in cash flow.
Yeah.
She put a Section 8 resident in there. She went with her boyfriend and did the renovation. They put $35K into it. I told her, bring in a contractor, and you'll do it for less. But she wanted the experience. So she spent 3 weeks in St. Louis, and she's now on to her second and third deal. But she really wants to learn the multifamily space, which is my real expertise.
Because that's a single family, right?
Yeah. So I tell people like you, buy a 1 to 4 and live in one unit and rent out the others. But she wanted to start with a single.
Yeah.
So now she's done a HELOC, cash out on it, using a HELOC, because I like to use a HELOC. And
why do you like HELOCs?
Because you can pay down the interest very, very rapidly. And they're typically interest only. So it gives you don't have to pull it all down. You can use it. When you do a cash out refi, the money's just sitting there.
Well, you have to have the equity though, right?
Yeah. So she was all in the deal with closing costs and carry for $81,000 on this deal. And the deal appraised for a little under $150K, and she did $110,000 HELOC on it.
What?
And now she's buying her second and third. So I called her because we are.
So you call your clients like that
all the time. They call
you
me.
give your cell phone out?
I do because
you want to put out your cell phone?
It's super important to me. No. So we called and I wanted to talk to her about working for us, doing onboarding. And I said, you know what? If you take the job doing onboarding, it's about 10 hours a week for our new students, because we have one person. She's also a student in our programs. And Lydia's like, okay, I can do that. And then I said, and on top of it, we're going to give you our $15,000 program for free so you can learn multifamily. And she's like, okay, because ultimately that's what she wants to do. And then she rattled off her goals. This is my goal for 2025. This is my goal by middle of 2025, by this date, by that date. So
the little deal. So like, let's say the $50,000 Ohio deals like that, that Eric Spofford teaches people. You agree with that? You like what he does?
Well, he does it very differently than what we do.
What's different?
So Eric's perception is he does a white glove program. He buys the property. You pay him to deliver the property. You pay him a fee. It's $20,000. Tanner, remember you went through the funnel? Was it you? No, Omar went through it. It's $20,000 for the first property. If you buy 3, it's $50,000. And then he bought the property and he marked it up, and then there's a $10,000 additional cost. You put up all the money.
So kind of similar to like what Grant does.
Well, I'm not sure really what Grant does.
Like when he buys buildings, and because I don't know for a fact, but like I heard he buys buildings and then he resells them, the ones he already bought.
So Grant does what's called front running, which is a legal technique determined by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. And he raises money under Regulation A, Tier 2, which was created during the Obama presidency, called under the Jobs Act. So the Jobs Act gave people the ability to invest in real estate, but not be an accredited investor. So if you've ever raised money, you have to have accredited investors. They have what's called suitability requirements. Mm-hmm. Accredited investor means they have a net worth of $1 million exclusive of their home, or they make $200,000 or $250,000, it's $200,000 a year, 2 years in a row, or their corporation or trust makes $300,000 2 years in a row.
Do they verify all that?
You typically better, yeah, because if you don't, the SEC will come down and they'll slap you around.
Because what if the
So now with the Jobs Act, an investor can come in and give you 10% of their gross income. So a guy makes $100K, he can invest up to $10K. And that's the window that Grant raises his money. But he does it in a very creative way, because you can only raise up to $75 million for each Reg A. So he does multiple Reg A's, ties them together, and then he buys the property with his own capital. He sells it into the Reg A, which he's allowed to buy with his own capital, sell it into the Reg A for a premium, a small premium. So he buys the deal for $100 million. He sells it into it for $150. He takes the 50, he puts it in his pocket. He takes 25 and puts it in his pocket and pays a 6% return. He's not paying you a return on your capital. He's paying you a return of your capital. It's two different things under the tax code. So when you've been in this business a long time, you understand it.
Yeah.
Is what he's doing illegal? It's not. But I always say this, and Rob said it, until they decide it is illegal. Just like they took a misdemeanor and they tried to indict and prosecute the president, the 45th president. And now he'll be the 47th president, the greatest comeback ever. And guess what? He'll write his own pardon. So, and he will make this country stronger and greater than it was.
Yeah.
And he'll secure our borders, and nobody's going to pick at us, and nobody's going to bother us.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're happy about the new
Very
president?
happy about it. He is absolutely an amazing person, and people have no idea.
Have you met him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to go to the inauguration, and then hopefully before that we'll get up to Mar-a-Lago, spend some time there.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. So like, is Grant a genius? With the loopholes? Did somebody tell him how to do it, or like what at the same time, if you buy the property, if you buy the big complex, and then you buy with your own money, and then you sell it for more to your own investors, like what are the pros and cons? Because obviously he's making money, right? A lot.
correct.
But but in a way, it's kind of like you're kind of tricking your own customers, because you're buying something for a lot less and you're flipping it for a lot more, and then you're putting that money in your pocket. you're not selling the property for the real price you paid. It's almost like if they're all giving me money, like everybody's giving me money, and I tell them I'm gonna buy this deal for $80 million, but I don't tell them. I tell them this deal is $90 million, but I got it for $80 million, and then I keep those $10 million, and then those $10 million I can go out and buy whatever I want. Like I could live better and enjoy life.
So Grant makes a lot of money selling his programs. That I know from people who have worked for him. I have a few friends. And Grant does do very well.
Yeah.
From his real estate syndication side. Is what he's doing something that I agree with? No. Real estate is all balanced. The deal is either balanced or imbalanced. So you've been in deals that are not balanced, and you've lost money, and you've had to pay out of your pocket to cover negative cash flow. What Grant does is he buys Class A deals. I'll give him that. But he overpays for them. So when we see a deal, we underwrite it. We know what we believe it's worth based on our underwriting. So we grow rents at a certain rate. Okay. We grow expenses at a certain rate. Extremely conservative. Grant grows rents at a much higher rate so he can say that the property is going to be worth. And immediately he goes in, and he doesn't have his own management company. He uses third-party management. Immediately he goes in and raises rents. And if you were to go on any of the blogs for some of these properties, people are moving out. Because he'll buy a property, rents, call it $2,000 a unit. Immediately when the rent is due or the lease is expired, he'll roll up the rent to $2,500. The people that are living there, they don't still underwrite, because you know mortgages, you have to underwrite.
Yeah.
Your debt to income ratio has to be at a certain level, whether it's buying a home or renting an apartment or qualifying for a car or a credit card. It's still all balanced.
Yeah.
So Grant does that, and he's trying to push the ticket, but he does buy quality assets. He does overpay for them, and then he does the same thing and moves it into the fund at another premium. So I
Where do you think he learned that?
no idea. No idea. And you asked if he's bright, okay? It would be a contradiction for me to say he's not bright, because I actually think he is. But he is a master marketer. He's a master marketeer, okay? And there was a guy back in the days, and his name was P.T. Barnum. Do you know who that was?
No.
Have you ever taken the kids to the circus?
Yeah.
The Barnum and Bailey Circus. He was the ringmaster. He was the guy screaming and getting people motivated, okay? P.T. Barnum was a carnival barker. And I'm not equating Grant to a carnival barker. I'm equating Grant to a master marketeer. And he's created this persona, and I watched his speech for President Trump, which, by the way, cost him $250,000 to speak. I don't know if you know that. He paid Trump to speak. And they're buddies. No, they're not. So
You're buddies with Trump?
I know him.
Yeah.
I know him.
So he paid him $200,000 to speak at
$250,000.
$250,000 to speak at the Growth Con?
No.
Oh, to speak at Trump's event.
At Trump's event. During the campaign.
Yeah. That's marketing, right?
It's marketing. So then he can say he spoke, they're friends, they're tight. And he can go after that whole core group of people.
And we get more money.
Exactly. Okay. And who does he appeal to? Who's his core group of investors?
I would say it's like middle class people.
It's middle America. It's uneducated, blue collar, want to aspire to that.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what he does. Okay. Is it right or wrong? If he's making them money, then he's doing great. Okay. If he makes them money when he sells the deal, and by the way, how long does he lock people's money up for?
Is it 5 years or
A
10?
decade.
Damn.
10 years.
What if you're not alive in 10 years?
Got me? I don't know. See, deals are finite. You buy a deal, you stabilize the deal, you refinance the deal,
Yeah.
you return your money to your investor. And then the investor gets a return in perpetuity as the deal continues to grow.
But he's paying his investors like a percentage, right? Like
He pays a 6% return.
you think that's good or bad?
It's a good return. It's a good return. But I'd much rather be able to pay out that return from cash flow,
Yeah.
not from money that I made from marking up a deal.
Mm. Yeah. You think if he would have just did it on his own, you think he would have like, would he be in a much different place right now? Like, or what's the whole reason to do that? Because he was already doing pretty good, right?
I think he's been using other people's money from the beginning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think he's been using his brother's money, his mother's money. Didn't he say he was a drug addict?
Uh-huh.
And when he bought his first property, I think he talks
Yeah.
about that. So,
How do you know though? What do you think?
I'm Albert Preciado. If you like what you're watching and you want to learn from an entrepreneur that built 8 companies and makes over $30 million a year, text me at 213-277-6208 and let's make it happen.
it's just a feeling.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling.
Yeah.
So, he underwrites deals the same way I underwrite them. I underwrite them on the back.
You
of
ever
a napkin.
compete with him on the same deal?
We have.
But you won't overpay though.
Nope. No, like the 10X Miami River, he overpaid by $7 million. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple deals he bought in Fort Lauderdale, he overpaid.
Yeah.
Naples, overpaid.
But even though he overpays though, he still seems to make a lot of money and he's
Well,
growing.
are the deals making money? I'd have to look at the financials.
Hmm.
You got to look at the T12. The numbers aren't going to lie. I don't think so.
So the properties are not cash flowing. Is that what you're saying? Because he's making money on the upsell, but he's not making money on the cash flow.
I
Is
think
that
the deals tread water.
what does that mean?
So, well, what do you do when you're treading water? You're just keeping your head above water. So they're not cash flowing, but they're not losing any money.
Got it. But the strategy, the money is in the sale, in the upsell.
The strategy is the roll up, and then he's banking on inflation and appreciation. I hope he does cost segmentation when he buys a deal so he can pass through the losses on a rapid basis. And quite frankly, when Trump comes into office, hopefully Trump will do a bonus 100% depreciation.
Again.
So on segmentation, you'll be able to write off about 70 to 75 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
On everything you do. So it's freezing in here,
Are you cold?
Yeah.
You're in Miami.
I'm freezing. Yeah.
Can you guys
So-
put it down a little bit? Or maybe get him a tequila shot. That'll bring your
Well,
temperature right away.
Well, we do l'chaim for Shabbat, so. Yeah. Only if you're gonna have one.
I went with you, yeah. Of
Okay,
course.
okay.
Get some good tequila though.
Yes.
But
please.
whoever wants one, just raise
No,
your hand.
Adrian, you're not having one. Okay.
But so look, Mark, and by the way, like for the viewers here, I'm not trying to pick at anybody. Like I learn a lot from Grant. I respect all these people for what they do. I'm just curious, and I know that the audience is curious too. They want to learn. They want to know like what am I getting myself into. You're doing it a whole different way though. You're your own money. You're buying deals. I know you said that you got to get A type properties, like not. And I like what you said last time on the podcast. I heard you. You said if you get a B, you want to make it a B plus. If you get a B plus, you want to make it a minus. A minus, you want to like make it an A,
Yeah.
and then A's, you want to
You
keep it an A.
cannot take a B property and turn it into an A.
Why not?
You can't. It's like putting a square peg into a round hole. It's just never going to happen. Okay.
What's the difference between
So-
an A and B?
You have A, B, C, and D. Let's start at the bottom. A
Yeah.
D property is public housing. So that's under public housing or HAP program, housing assistance program. That's a D property. C is a property that is 40 to 50 years older. That is typically 1 and 2 story walk up, pitch roof or flat, that has no air conditioning, central quartered, pretty standard.
They have C in,
construction.
in Miami. It's
Sure.
hot.
Sure.
No AC.
No AC. Well, they'll put window units in.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Or they'll sleeve a unit. Then a B is a property that is 85 or newer. And then it's got a different resident demographic from a credit
Got
standpoint.
it. Yeah.
And then an A is anything that is 7 years or newer. And then an A plus is 5 years or newer. And the way the A's and the A pluses operate, they operate at a higher expense ratio to income. The B's operate kind of in a sweet spot in that balanced income to expense ratio. And then the C's are absolutely will eat you alive because the resident rollover, the resident retention, and the resident profile is a lower end blue collar.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is when you look at deals, you look at them based on this is my metrics, this is what I do, this is why I do it, and this is where I'm going to create the greatest return for myself or as a real estate investor that's using other people's money for my investors. Because your investors, if you're a real estate investor and you're syndicating deals, they come first. First, last, and always. You are always taking your money after their money is returned to them. So when you buy a deal, for me, if it doesn't have a 6 or 7% return out the door day one on a trailing T3, that's the last 90 days of operations, I'm not going to look at it. And if I can't move that deal based on forced appreciation through expense reduction, better operations, and then greater resident retention, then I'm not even going to look at the deal.
Yeah.
So if you know what you're doing, you can underwrite a deal. And I do believe Grant does know what he's doing because you can underwrite a deal on the back of a napkin.
He also has a lot of smart people around him.
His brother's pretty smart, they say.
Yeah, I met him. I did a podcast with him. Gary.
Yeah.
I think Gary might have more money than Grant.
From Grant.
Well, Gary. Well, I think Gary might be more wealthy.
He made
than
his
Grant.
money in the credit repair business, right?
Some of it, but he also has a lot of crypto. Yeah, talk about that. Like, do you have crypto? Do you like crypto? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see the smile. Like,
Yeah.
you probably have a lot of Bitcoin, huh?
Yeah, I actually just checked when we got here. It was at
100K.
Went to 100K. It was at 99 plus.
Yeah. So you made a lot of money there.
Should I sell it?
I think it's so. Gary Cardone, he made a lot of money in crypto, and more now, like every day. It kind of but I don't know. What do you think? You're gonna keep it? Because if you sell it right,
I'm really, really on the fence.
If you exit
'cause I
right-
had said to myself at 100, I want to get rid of it, and then the greed factor goes in. What is it at?
let me check. Blue Bitcoin. Oh, you went down a little bit. So now it's 98,602. So you better sell it. What if it goes down to like 60?
I bought it really low.
Huh?
I bought it much lower than that.
But it's going down. It's trending down.
Okay.
Maybe you want to sell it right now.
Who has my phone? No, I'm good. I'll long-term hold on to it.
Yeah. So you
But I
said
thought that 100,000 was the benchmark to sell that.
so. If it reaches 100K, you got to keep your word.
I don't know. Because if I lose it all the way down to 18, I didn't lose anything.
You got it at 18,000. Did you buy a lot?
Enough.
You don't think you could make more with crypto than real estate?
Real estate, I know. Crypto, I have no control over.
That's right. Yeah.
My deals, I can control.
Now,
People I teach, I can control what they're doing and how they're doing it.
yeah. Now, how do you feel about single family residents? You have some of those?
Well, in our community, when some of the students don't have the ability to come up with a down payment,
Yeah.
we help them.
Oh, you put the down payment?
We help them. We help them.
So,
We don't put the whole thing down because we want you to push. But we help them. Yeah, absolutely.
So would you say that somebody that makes minimum wage could buy a property, a deal like 35K, 40, 50K deal?
Absolutely. Why not?
Well, they don't know. They don't know how to do it, but you teach them how to do it.
Yes, we do.
So like, she's my assistant, my executive assistant. She makes a lot more than minimum wage.
And she should own.
She doesn't own.
Absolutely.
She doesn't own any real estate.
Why not?
With how much I make, I think
Absolutely.
65K.
Absolutely.
That's way more than minimum wage.
Yes.
Where's
Yeah,
so little?
give me the little one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why
We say in Hebrew, we say l'chaim, which means to life.
Nah, how come you give me a lot? It's good.
That's good. That's 1800,
Yeah. No, it's 1942.
1942.
Yeah. Feels good in like your throat.
It definitely warms you up.
Plus
But it's still freezing in here. It's like an ice machine.
Well, the reason why we have the AC hard is because the screen gets hot. This is the biggest screen in the back, and then the light. But knowing that you were coming from Miami, I should have
Yes.
not had it so cold. But they lowered it a bit. But
We had the heat blaring in the car
really,
last night. Oh, yeah.
oh, in the house, yeah. Where are you staying? Newport.
Newport, yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it's even colder. there.
Villa right on the water.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So she left. So we'll get back to that. But one thing you say that I wrote it down is it's not about money. It's about doing for other people.
Mhm.
So it seems like that's why you're not doing what Grant does, because I think like if you do what Grant does, you would make more money, right? You could do the same thing, right?
So we have. So all this has evolved so very rapidly.
Because same thing with Section 8 properties.
Mhm.
Like you do it differently than other people.
Well, we teach people how to do it. We give them the tools. We hold their hand. We stand shoulder to shoulder. Okay, so like when Lydia had an issue with her Section 8 inspection, and I said, well, that's why you needed a contractor. But she said, well, how do I solve this? Because she had passed her plumbing and she had passed her electrical inspection. Okay, and Section 8 refused to give her their certificate of occupancy. And I said, well, then go and have the city, who already gave you the green light on the inspection, connect with Section 8 and show them the sign off, and then they'll sign off on it.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, how do you know this? I said, from doing it. Okay. Now, I haven't done a Section 8 deal in years, in decades, but you
Mhm.
don't forget what you know how to do. It's
Right.
like riding a bicycle. So Lydia was actually, on her first attempt, she was buying a deal in Montgomery, Alabama from a wholesaler. And she got me on the phone with the wholesaler. This is my first student. So June 20th, we launched the school in school. And Lydia buys a $27 monthly membership. We charge now $47. And she sent me a message in school. And I'm like, here's my cell phone. Call me. How can I help you? And she's like, well, it's the day before our call. And she's like, do I need to prepare anything? I'm like, no, you're the only student. So we got on our Zoom call. We have a call on Tuesday and a call on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's an hour each, twice a week. I'm on the calls. I run the calls. Adrian helps me because there's so
How many people are on the calls?
There's typically 50, 60 people. We've got 200 and I think 88 people that have signed up for the program. And for 2 weeks, she was the only person, just me and her. I learned her life story. I learned that her father was incarcerated. He was murdered. He murdered his wife. She put herself through college with a scholarship. She sold roofs. Today she told me she sold trees. I didn't know that. And we became, got to know each other. And I got to like the person that she was.
Yeah.
Driven, like your program. And so she's like, I found a deal. I want to buy a deal. It was from a wholesaler. We got him on the phone. We came to an agreement, but he wanted her to close in 2 days.
Yeah.
Because he only had 2 more days left on the contract. I told him, no, we need at least a 10-day due diligence. We need to walk the property. We need to do our own due diligence, our cost evaluation of what needs to be done. So that deal fell through. She then went to St. Louis. I said, go to St. Louis, where I had done, somebody challenged me, so I bought a deal online to show them that you can buy a deal online for $60K. 20 minutes.
When you buy these deals, $60K, do you put a down payment? Do you finance it?
On that one, I actually did, yeah. So
20%, right?
no, I gave him $1,000 deposit.
But how much do you put down? Like how?
Well, that one I was financing,
Yeah.
100% based on my own net worth.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So you could buy deals right now 100% finance?
of course.
But that's because of your net worth.
Yeah.
What about Maria if she wants to buy the deal and she makes?
Well, Maria would use FHA to buy her first deal.
What if she doesn't live in Ohio?
Okay, so then she doesn't live in Ohio. So then Maria would find a seller that would hold a second, and the second would subordinate to the first. And then we'd find her a debt service coverage loan, or we'd find her a first-time investor loan, which I'm sure you have these programs like we all do, and we all have access to them because there's more money than there are deals.
So she would get a property with 0 down?
She should.
What about closing costs and?
We'll roll that into the second, of course.
So you could buy a house with 0 down, and then that house she could rent it and make cash flow. You could.
Or in Ohio.
Ohio and what other states?
So in Ohio we do Akron, we do Cleveland, we do Columbus, we do Dayton. We have one in Zenith. Where else are we doing them, Gabriella? What other towns? Clyde. You just did one in Clyde for Eric. Yeah.
And how much does like a 50-60K deal make you a month net?
It should make you somewhere between $500 and $800.
So you could buy a property with 0 down and not even closing costs and make $500-600K a month extra. And you're not doing it.
So the young man who's Raymond Gonzalez, who's one of my first one-on-one mentees, and your number one sales guy, had him on the phone.
Yeah.
I have no idea how he knows him. Okay.
Because they're closing people.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Raymond
Yeah.
is from Oklahoma, okay, and he took a year off from college, or took a year off, played professional soccer in the Mexican League.
Oh, really? Which team? You don't know.
He's told me.
But he's in college. He owns 3 properties.
So now he's a freshman at University of Oklahoma, and he worked with us during the summer.
Yeah.
And Raymond was offered a soccer scholarship at OU. So that's it's a big school, University of Oklahoma, the Sooners.
Yeah.
And a scholarship for computer science. During the summer, he bought his 3 properties. His father is his investor. And He didn't know what to do, whether he was going to play soccer,
Yeah.
take the soccer scholarship, going into college. And then I was actually in the car with Gabriella, and we were driving again to see my family on the West Coast, because a lot of my family moved from the East Coast when Dade County, which is where Miami is, got really busy in the early 2000s, and they moved over to the other coast, Naples, Sanibel, Fort Myers. And I had him on the phone, and I wanted to make sure, because I always want to make sure everything that he does, his parents are comfortable with. And he said, I don't want to play soccer. I want to buy more real estate. And at that point, I think he had 2 deals. When he closed his 3rd deal, he has about $4,500 a month in cash flow.
Really? From the 3 deals?
And he's about $350,000 to $400,000 in equity. And now his older brother has joined him. They formed a company, and a management company, and they're buying their 4th and 5th property, which he was talking about on the. And he's coming to meet me in Houston because we are actually touring our latest acquisition in the Houston Galleria.
That's a great case study. 300,000 in equity,
I think he has more.
and he makes 4,500 a month doing, doing
a
nothing.
month. Well, I mean, he manages the properties himself.
What-
He fixed them up. He used
Is that your kind
His
of like your
lows-
strategy to save money? You fix them up yourself.
absolute. Well, no.
Well, when you're starting,
I want you to feel it. I want you to understand the process.
Yeah.
I want you to know what it is to run a property.
Yeah.
I want you to know what it is to have a resident come at you.
yeah.
Okay.
So let me share an experience, and then we'll I have just 2 quick things to wrap up.
Mhm.
But I bought a mentor that was a millionaire. So he was maybe worth a few million, nothing crazy.
Mhm.
But he was the last mortgage broker that I worked for. His name is Mark, and I learned so much from Mark. I learned from everybody, but he gave me one of the best advice ever. He said, "Hey, Albert, don't buy that house, because 2008 lost everything, and then 2013 I'm doing a little bit better, making some money, and I'm kind of thinking about my old habits, like going back to like I made a lot of mistakes in life, and I used to party a lot, drinking. I got into cocaine addiction, women, and just destroyed in a way my life, and I wasn't thinking right. 2008 came. I was not prepared for it, lost everything. And again, 2013, I'm doing better now. I'm doing good, and I'm already like, I get my Rolex watch, I have my A6 Audi, and I'm like, I'm going out.
That's
I'm
the
feeling good.
G-Shock you're wearing, right?
Yeah.
I thought so.
and I'm doing better, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this house in the Hollywood Hills, and it's a little house in the Hollywood Hills. It would have been a good buy though, because it would have been worth more. But I'm thinking like parties, women, this, that.
Well,
And
you could have bought it. You could have cleaned it up,
And
and
he
you could have
told-
rented it.
But he told me don't do that. Buy
buy
a
multi.
multi-unit,
Yeah.
and use FHA. It's you're an owner occupied. You have to
90. You got 96.5% financing.
Yeah. So I
How'd
bought.
you come with a down payment?
I closed a real estate. I closed a mortgage commission, and I got.
Because you realize if you didn't have the down payment, you could have borrowed it. And then they would have put PMI on it, so it would have made your payment a little higher. They would have given you that 3.5% down too, and the closing costs.
a bank or
FHA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Under the first time program.
This was 2013.
Still do it.
So although those loans, they're doable, but they give you a higher rate,
Yes.
and they also you pay a little bit more,
With the PMI.
and they take a
Yes.
little longer. So the family that was selling it, they were getting divorced, right? So they're getting divorced. They hate each other, and
It's a good place to buy a
yes,
property.
yeah. So I'm gonna tell you what happened.
They're what's called a don't wanter.
Yeah. So the realtor listed the property and signed the listing agreement December. When they were like kind of fighting, the couple, and nothing happened for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So summertime comes, and they're like, they can't see each other anymore. The husband's like, I hate my wife. The wife is like, I hate my husband. I want to kill him. And so they told the realtor, hey, I don't want to rewrite the listing agreement. Just, you already have it. Just list it for what we said. And the listing agent is like,
Was under the value.
yeah, are you sure? And this is when the properties were spiking up, 2013. And he's like, are you sure? Because he already listed, he had listed it at a good price December, so to sell fast. So long story short, I buy the property, FHA, 3.5% down. I have a I had a 560 FICO score because I fucked up my credit.
Yeah, but still with FHA, you can borrow at 560.
I
You borrow
did,
520.
Yeah. So I buy the deal, 3 in the property. I buy it for, I still remember it. It's 261 Grove Street in Los Angeles.
I remember most of the names of where I bought.
Yeah. And I bought it for $266,000 to 2013.
Nice.
And I don't know if I could do this, but I moved into the property. But then it was very dangerous because it was a dangerous area. Gunshots and robberies. So I moved out. I rented it. And then I was making cash flow $1,800 a month. And I bought it for 266. It was worth like 400,000, the appraisal.
You closed your eyes and it was worth that. Yeah.
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 And then I kept the property. I was making like $2,000 a month. Then I refinanced, removed the mortgage insurance. So now I'm making like over $2,000 a month. So that's like my party money, like my spending money. And so I'm making that money.
Should have took that money and bought more damn real estate.
I was not as smart as I like to say I am now.
Yes.
So I was, the property was, the tenants were paying the mortgage, but I learned one of the tenants was always late on the payment. And I had to like kind of like follow up. And he would send me like he would deposit and he would go to the bank.
Little.
I learned, huh? Yeah. So I learned. So that what you were saying, I was learning that because I was in the game. I was like, so that property 4 years later, I sold it for, actually 4.5 years later, I sold it for $580,000.
Nice.
So at the time, I had paid principal down, everything. So it was like I made net $460,000 on that deal that I bought FHA, and that's how and then so I did that, and then I said, my wife wanted to marry me, like Sil. She was like, I want to marry you. I'm like, I'm not gonna marry you, because you got to buy your own FHA deal. If we get married, we're fucked. Now we only qualify for one FHA. So I said, you get your FHA, and then I'll marry you.
Right.
So she listened. She bought her 4-unit FHA deal. And in 3 years, so she bought it for $480,000. We sold it for close to $700,000. She made net $300,000 in 2 years. And that's a whole different story why we sold and all that stuff. But FHA is a really good deal. What's your opinion about people right now if they're considering buying a single family home, their home to live, versus let's just say, how many of you guys don't have a house yet? You don't have a house? So let's say he wants to buy a house, your guy. And would you recommend him to buy a single family for him and his babe? Or should he buy like a multi-unit, 4-unit property and finance it FHA? What is your suggestion for the viewers watching this?
So everybody has a different tolerance for things. I will tell you, one of the biggest mistakes that I made was actually selling. You should keep everything that you own forever and continually refinance it.
I agree with you 100%. Okay. I regret selling.
For us teaching novice investors that have never owned anything, it's sometimes hard for them to get the concept of 3 or 4 units. So we talk to them about a single family in these markets that we're going after, which have a very low barrier of entry, but a higher rent anomaly. So like Birmingham, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, Jacksonville,
they don't
Florida.
appreciate that well.
They actually do, because you're creating the appreciation, okay? And there's a philosophy. A lot of guys are like, you need to be in a market where it's only a good property and it's only going to appreciate. No. What you need to be in a market is that you're buying it right, you're creating the value, you're creating cash flow, and that will push the value. Okay. Now, a lot of times, and you know, as a mortgage guy, it's hard sometimes to comp out in markets that are evolving,
Yeah.
like Michigan, like the Ohio market. Okay. So with one of the deals for this guy, Eric, it was a small deal and it had to appraise over 100K. It did appraise because we told him exactly how to do it, what to do, how to increase the value. It appraised for 109. And then he took a loan for, I want to say, his first term sheet was 82,000 and he eventually closed at 78. So now he's off to buying his second and third deal. Okay. So we look at what the person is, their tolerance, their way to level up and understand the concepts. But we're not creating any concepts that we created. They're not new concepts. They're concepts from my friend, Robert G. Allen, who was my mentor.
That was the next question. I was
He's
going to
my
ask you about
mentor.
your mentor. Yeah, I know. Robert G. Allen.
Yeah.
You recommend his book.
So my mother gave me his book
Yeah.
going into my junior year. And I read it and I was like, these are amazing concepts. And they actually work.
Yeah.
He created what's called the subject to. It's just creative financing. Okay. Flipping is just, okay, so you had this single family under contract. Why didn't you just flip the contract? Because you didn't know. You didn't know you could.
You're talking about wholesalers?
No, on that first deal in the
okay.
hills that you decided not to buy.
Yeah.
You could have just sold the contract.
Yeah.
So it's all about knowledge and experience. So they come to us and we give them everything that we have. We pour it out.
Yeah.
Because that's changing people's lives. And people want to know, well, what are you getting out of this? Okay. We're getting paid. We don't get paid a lot for it. But we do get paid. And what we do is we get paid not necessarily in monetary gain, but we get paid in putting good out into the universe.
Yeah.
Okay. And that all comes back. It absolutely comes back. So for me, you were talking about your wife, okay? And I look at this woman that picked me up behind the cameras and she's laughing. It's not, I'll tell you the story after.
Yeah. She picked you up?
Yeah, definitely. So we were at a real estate conference. It's called The Real Deal. So it's the bigger.
Are you talking about Gabby?
Yeah. And you can't call her Gabby. You have to call her Gabriella.
Gabriella.
Because I get punched if I call her
Oh.
Gabby. Okay.
Well, you called her that on the podcast.
Yeah. I took
You're gonna
it.
get punched. You're gonna-
I took it on the chin.
you're
waiting.
You're gonna get punched right now. Yeah.
So
You'll feel it less with the tequila though.
so I'm in this appliance. Adorable. Hi.
She's Kelly. But by the way, my did the girl see the puppy? The dog?
Right behind you.
Yeah, that's Gabriella.
Oh, my daughters will.
That's Mark's girlfriend.
Wait, are you still on the podcast?
Yeah.
Sure, we are. It's okay. It's a family podcast.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up pretty soon. But yeah, it's just like the stuff that you're saying. Like, I feel like a lot of this stuff might be boring to people because they're like real estate and why should I like? You saw Maria, my assistant. She's like she has no clue on that she could own a lot of real estate right now, but then she goes and spends a lot of money going to concerts.
You got to live small, Maria. You got to take everything that you have in disposable income, put it aside, and put it into a deal because the deal will take care of you.
The deal,
Okay.
the passive cash flow can pay for her concerts.
It can pay for another deal, not your concerts.
There you go.
Okay? You can listen to the music on your phone.
See?
You can go to free concerts. Okay? Okay. So the goal is to make people's lives different.
Yeah.
Okay? And that will make everyone in our stratosphere better.
So you recommend Robert G. Allen?
Robert G. Allen's book, Nothing Down. He
Yeah.
wrote it back in 1980. It's a great book. We are co-authoring a book.
Oh, nice.
So mindset
So
and real
he went from
estate,
your mentor to like writing the book together?
and my friend.
Wow.
So he'll be speaking at our event in March, along with JT
When,
Fox.
when is
Robert
your when is your
Kiyosaki.
you want to talk about your event? Just when is it?
We're not sure on the date. It's either going to be March 2nd or March 9th. It's going to be a full Sunday event with a special lunch. I'm doing it with Juan Sanchez, who teaches financial literacy, Daniel G., Robert G. Allen, Robert Kiyosaki. Hopefully, we'll get one of my idols, a pitcher who pitched for the Baltimore Orioles, Jim Palmer, to come. We're going to have the head of real estate for Sotheby's for the state of Florida. We're going to have my friend. His name is Welby. He's a real estate investor who's been bankrupt 3 times, and he's crushing it. And a few other people.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a full day
I
of
love
teaching
Daniel G's cool.
and motivation.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about it.
Cool.
And it's our first event.
We'll talk about
So,
that one.
yeah.
I'm excited about that one.
Yeah.
And then,
Maybe you'll come and speak.
dude, I would it would be awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
I know you talk a lot about the 80-20 rule too. And because I say that I talk about that a lot, which would lead us to the last question, but 80-20 rule. Why is the it's called the the Pareto rule, right? They call it the Pareto.
Yep.
Pareto rule.
Yeah.
Are you Italian?
I'm Jewish.
Okay. You kind of you're
Well,
you resemble like
The O at the end of my name is a vowel, so people think. But
Yeah.
Shapiro is a very common Jewish name,
Yeah.
like Smith.
and you're a great football player from.
I played a little football. Yeah.
And then one quick question. I see you like nice watches.
G-Shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just different.
Yeah.
So keeps good time.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But I have to compliment you on your taste.
yeah. Well, you have good taste.
Thank you.
You dress nice.
Gabrielle addressed me.
Yeah. She's the woman.
She picked out the pink shirt.
Women are amazing.
Oh yeah.
Now, just one last thing here that I want to get your take on, because I do have a real estate brokerage and mortgage company, right? And the last 2 years have been really rough.
Mm-hmm.
They've been hard.
Yeah.
I've been having to use every energy I have. Like I had to fight really, really hard for the last 2 years to keep everybody alive, and because it's not been easy. Rates go up to 10%. People are not selling their home. It's the lowest home sales going back to 1995. It's even worse than 2008. If you look at how many homes were sold last year, and this year is not looking that great either. But how many homes were sold last year? More homes were sold in 2008 than last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the worst it's been since 1995. So realtors are struggling, to say the least. And you have people that were making $100,000 a month, $50,000 a month. Now they're making like $5-10,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Some months they don't close. Sometimes they go months without closing. Mm-hmm. So there's a really good realtor by the name of Ryan Serhant,
Mm-hmm.
and he's killing it. And now
That's right.
now he's doing a lot of new things. He has a lot of other flows of income now.
Right.
But he built a brand. Do you feel like right now, if you're a real estate agent, you need a brand to crush it, or can you crush it without a brand? How important is building a brand? I know that you built your brand, like your guys were telling me, like you went from 0 followers to 500,000 like in 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So can you just talk about like how
That was 41 years of the real estate business. That's 41 years of living through good and bad deals, of negotiating. So it didn't come overnight. The social media came very rapidly because whatever I had to say, people resonated with it. Okay. I am just the way I am.
But you're very blunt.
I'm not going to have a filter.
You call people out.
At a certain point in your life, you just lose the filter. Okay.
You don't give a shit.
And I've made some mistakes when I called out certain people, and when I was wrong, I immediately apologized and I wrote a retraction.
Well, you wrote you did a like a nasty one about me, and then you made a nice one about me after that.
Well, I probably didn't mean to be so nasty, but when they
You
give me these
told me
one after another after
Yeah.
another, I'm like, I'm listening to this shit and it's just all crap.
you said don't be a bitch. You told me Albert,
Okay.
don't be a bitch.
Well, are you?
no.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I apologize for calling you a bitch. Okay. What is a bitch? A pregnant dog.
Is it?
A female,
female dog, female dog, yeah, not pregnant,
female
yeah.
dog, female
Yeah.
dog. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Now, I go back to
well,
the
you
other
can
post.
be really bitchy when you're pregnant. So,
Yeah, 100%. But do you recommend getting credit card money and buying a house?
so the
'Cause-
guy I apologized for, his name is Fareed. We just did a podcast with
Yeah.
him. And he came to my first ever speaking event in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
He sat in the front row, okay, came backstage, and he was talking about you open up a new LLC,
Oh yeah.
and then you apply for a Chase Inc. card, okay? Now, Chase is my prime bank, and they're great to me.
Yeah.
And so we opened up this new LLC for Shapiro Capital, and I didn't even apply for it. It shows up in the mail. I have it in my pocket. I'll show you after. Okay? With a very healthy credit limit. You open it up, it comes in a really nice.
So they don't underwrite you?
I have no idea. It just showed up. So I called and I said, is this a mistake? They're like, no, Mr. Shapiro. You're a member of our private client group. We saw you started a new LLC, so we sent it out to you. And then I called my personal relationship manager, and he said, oh, I thought it was a good thing, so I just sent it over to the credit card department. I thought you would want it. I'm like, okay. And then I said, well, what's kind of credit limit can you get? And he said, well, here's the maximum credit limit. I said, can I call and ask them for it? He said, yeah, call and ask them. They'll just do it right over the phone. So you can buy a couple houses with it.
Wow.
And so I had to retract. So immediately I called him on Instagram, or I messaged him. He gave me his number. I called him. I said, I apologize. He's like, I'm coming to your event from Dallas. He sat there. I apologized on stage. I did an apology on the a post. And then I've actually started sending people his way for business. He does credit repair, and he teaches you how to get business credit. And I've sent him 2 clients, both from school, and he's helped them.
Why did you pick school over like Kajabi or you know Lightspeed?
No, I don't know any of this stuff. Christian just said, let's do
Yeah.
school. So we did it.
Where's Christian? Oh, why'd you pick school?
Yeah,
You like Alex Hormozy?
I like him. He's in good
Yeah.
shape. I don't know why he wears it.
He's been here.
The strips.
I don't think he had the strip when he came here, right? Maria? Or you didn't have the strip when he came here.
Breathe right strip.
Yeah. I met him when I met my one of my best friends at the time. He passed away. He was his mentor a while back. But yeah. So last thing to wrap up here, Mark. You about the realtor, Ryan Serhant.
Yeah.
Do you believe that you have to build a brand right now to do good, or do you think you could? How do you become a Ryan Serhant?
Well, what Ryan does is works for Ryan. What you need to find is what you're comfortable with and what works for you. But I will tell anyone who is a realtor, you better buy some real estate, because you're in the position to see deals, and you're going to be in an office and you're going to be seeing deals. So if you're in the business, if you don't own real estate and that's your job, selling real estate, yes, you earn a steady income, making commissions, but you'll create net worth by owning real estate.
Yeah.
And you'll create sustainable net worth by owning real estate and cash flow.
Got it. So Mark, it's been a pleasure here. We need to do a part 2. We could go on for the entire day, but I know we got to eat some turkey.
Yeah.
And if people want to follow you, they want to know more about your courses, they want to learn how to buy real estate, because like I would say it's the first time I heard that if you're making 40, 50, 60K, you could buy real estate and buy a lot of real estate and eventually you'll make more money with your passive income from the real estate than what you make in your job. So like that's very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people here are watching it and they're like, damn, I want see you have my own employees here that want to hire you now. So if they want to learn, they want to go to your event, they want to know more about Mark, where can people follow you and reach you?
So you can follow us at our website. It's mshapirocapital.com, or you can DM us the word real estate on Instagram, and it's at the Mark Shapiro. And we would love to help you. We would love to explain to you our programs, and we would love to change your life. And that's what we're trying to do, make a difference.
And I'll put all the information below. Reach out to Mark. He's a badass. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.